So my father texted me for the very first time in 10 years, writing, I'm stunned, or I'm speechless. One of the two. I'm stunned or I'm speechless. I think it was I'm speechless. And for me, that was winning an Oscar right there. These words came from him courtesy of the national award that I won last year, 2018, for Best Female Playback Singer for the song, thank you, for the song Van Varu Van from Katraveliyadai, composed by A.R. Rahman sir and from a Mani Ratnam sir film. For me, those words made the national award so much more sweeter and so much more intimate. I was raised in a very humble background. I was raised in Canada. I was born in Kashmir. I was raised in a family of 4, my parents and 2 younger brothers, who are my biggest critics as well as my biggest fans today. And I'm petrified of singing in front of my father because he'll be like, "Ah, you messed up there. Oh, that note is off. Oh, I know you lost your breath here, you know." So my father is my biggest critic, and I'm thankful that he is. I studied music very minimally because my parents had the courage to leave a very settled lifestyle in Canada and come to India, to Allahabad, where they had me train. But the teacher that I was learning under, who I'm very grateful to, Mrs. Kamla Bose, she was touring. She herself was a performing artist, so she would be frequenting Europe and, you know, various places in Europe, Switzerland and Norway, and I had no one to teach me at that point, so I would probably get a lesson in 2 months. But what I always believed in was to practice so hard that by the time she comes back, I really wanted to impress her. So I would practice for 10 hours a day. I would practice for 11 hours a day without food, only with water, because otherwise it would dry out my vocal cords. This continued, and by the time she would come back and listen to me, she would wonder what happened. I never told her how much I was practicing or anything, but she got it. For me, being consistent has been something that is probably the biggest contributor to where I stand today. And there's a long way I'm yet to go. At the moment, though, I feel that's one thing that I think a lot of people lack. That, for that matter, I think even my brothers lack that. But yeah, I think being consistent is one thing, and another thing that I feel, which I will be talking about today, and that is movement. Movement is prime when there's something you'd like to achieve. I think being stuck in any way, shape, and form, in a particular mindset, or in time, or on a particular emotion, or on a particular achievement, there would be times when people would continue congratulating me after I'd won the national award, and I would forget why, and I'd be like, "I'm sorry, why are you congratulating me?" And they'd be like, "Oh, for the national award you just won." And I'd be like, "Oh, it's been like a month." So basically for me, what's been very critical and very crucial is that to disown what you've achieved and to disown associations with things that we hold very dear in order to hold something new dearer. So I came to India. My parents sacrificed a lot for me. A very comfortable life in Canada. They brought me to Allahabad. There was barely any electricity at home. I'd be rotting in a room practicing. I was also pursuing my education. I passed out of St. Mary's Convent School, Allahabad. After my grade 12, I went back to Canada. I got 7 scholarships into university, including a major entrance scholarship into Simon Fraser. and that was a $24,000 scholarship that I got in, along with 6 more. And I was aiming towards becoming a neurosurgeon. So I started my pre-med. I started a degree in molecular biology and biochemistry and a minor in business administration. And then one day I heard A.R. Rahman sir's Guru, and I heard this song called Jaage hai der tak hame kuch der sone do थोड़ी सी रात और है सुबह तो होने दो. And then I heard तेरे बिना बेसुआदी रतियाँ हो सजना हो रूखी रे ओ रूखी रे काटो रे काटे कटे ना. So I heard this. Thank you. And I kind of died. I was like, you know what, bro? There's nothing else I want to do in life. I said, this is the guy I want to sing for. This is the career I want to have. I want to be singing for, you know, a Katrina and for a Karina and, you know, my voice playing there and everyone watching me. And it's just, you know, hearing my voice. So I locked myself up in my bedroom and I told my parents, I will not come out until you say, yes, you can go. And I mean, imagine my parents' plight, you know, they're like, oh my God, full scholarship, she's going to leave her education, she would have become a doctor, and now she's going to India to sing what? To sing for films. And, you know, for them it was, I mean, I'm sure in the future when you guys have kids, I'm sure you're going to be petrified as well if they, if they end up having that kind of a mindset. So, and I was a pretty decent student. I topped in my grade 12. I had a 96% average, and I got the Governor General's Medal. Thank you. That should have come when I was singing. So after that, somehow my father agreed. My mother still hated me, but my father kind of stopped talking to me after that. I mean, it was just a very basic, very formal, hi, hello, beta, are you okay? Yes, dad, I'm good. That's it. Like, that's the maximum we would talk. I came to India, I had no contacts in Bombay, first time. I would save, not $3, that's a lot of money at that time for me. I would save 3 rupees by walking to the railway station and eating a vada pav there because it was 3 rupees cheaper there. And I would probably have like 20 bucks in my pocket and I'd be walking some 6-7 kilometers a day just to save auto ka money. So then I didn't have a house initially. I was on the road at Kandivali station for 3 nights. That happened. And I didn't tell my parents though. They weren't aware that all this was happening because number 1, I didn't want to stress them out. Number 2, I wanted this fight to be my own. I didn't want to give anyone credit for being instrumental. Thanks. So I didn't want to give anyone any credit for being instrumental in my success in the future, or for, I think seeing my father, he was a self-made man. He would work three jobs a day and we wouldn't see him for months in Canada. So for me, and even if I want to get married in the future, I would probably look for that trait in my, you know, in my future husband, you know, because I have a lot of respect for self-made people. And my father was like that. And seeing that, I think, you know, indirectly and I think subconsciously, that became a part of who I ended up becoming. So that happened. My parents didn't know. And I would be doing, you know, lots of little jobs. So I would probably do a jingle for, you know, 3,000 bucks. And I would travel 2.5 hours from Koparkerane, which you've probably not even heard of. It's even farther away from Vashi, which is Navi Mumbai. And that was because I couldn't afford to live in Bombay at that time. But I had a great big place, so I was just paying like 3,000 bucks for like a huge place. I was happy with that. I was content with that. So that was there. And then I got my first ad job, my first major ad job, where I made some 15,000. And with that, I ended up paying off my deposit and my rent and a little bit of money to kind of indulge in a little more food than vada pav. Um, so that happened. After that, there was this one phase where I ran into this this judge in a reality show. He's a very prominent figure in the music industry. He's been in the news often as well for not the best reasons. But he told me that I had a bad voice. Now imagine I've left everything. I've left my pre-med studies. I've left my scholarship. I can't go back. I burned my boats. I burned my bridges. I had no other option. And then someone tells me that you don't have a good voice. You should consider another career. Emotional Capricorn here. I stopped singing. I stopped singing for 3 years. And having said that, I was talking about movement. My brain never stops moving. I realized that, okay, fine, I have a bad voice, I won't sing, but I'm not leaving music, no matter what. So I went into music production, I went into composition, I started making my own songs, I started writing my own songs, I started having a lot of singers from the industry, very prominent and prolific singers from the industry come and sing my melodies. And I would tell them, okay, aise gaye, sing like this, don't do that, or, do a little bit. So, it gave me a little bit of hope, I guess, at that point. But today, if you ask me that, Shashaa, you get one gift, or you get one chance, or if God or some great power were to come in front of me and say that I can change everything for you, I'll give you a comfortable life, I'll give you a Beamer, I'll give you all of this as soon as you come to Bombay, so you don't have to see the struggle that you saw, I would not change a single thing. It's so important to go through that pain, or to go through that anger, or to go through those tears, or that rejection, or that defeat, because if you realize it, and I'm sure all of you have felt these emotions, it's because they're so temporary. Who you're angry at today, if you think about it, who you were angry at, say, a month ago, do you even remember? You don't. If you flunked a class, okay, I don't think any of you flunked any classes, but if you scored less on a particular subject back in school, today, is that even important? Like, do you even remember? Does it even matter today? It doesn't. These things are short-lived, they're temporary, and they make the success so much sweeter. Today, that film fair that I have, when I hold it, it feels like I've worked so hard for this, and it just makes it so much more your own. And I think when you're doing that, when you go through the struggle, you own your success. So to own your success, I think there's no greater gift, and there's no greater feeling of satisfaction than that. So after I started composing, started producing, and all of that, I was one day approached by someone in Rahman Sir's team, and they said Rahman Sir is auditioning for Coke Studio, and he's looking for some girls for his choir. Now, I was a lead singer, but I think at that point I was like, you know what, if he's looking for someone to mop the floors, I'm gonna be there. But the other side of it was that I didn't sing for 3 years. So what am I going to sing in the audition? So after 3 years, I'm turning the tanpura on. I'm singing sa, and my sa is off. I sound like a toad. It's terrible. And I'm like, what am I going to do? And it's like, that one opportunity. When I left from Canada, it was like, yeah, man, I'm going to be singing for Rahman Sir when I go there. And, I'll be like a huge playback singer and like, overnight star. But you come here, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years are gone. You're nowhere close to that goal that you dreamt. And on top of that, that one opportunity you get to sing for the man you've worshipped. And it's like, I blew it. After that, I practiced rigorously and terribly for the next 5 days, I think, and the audition was on the 6th day, and I went and I sang, and I think I sang really badly. And I think eventually they ended up playing him another recording. No, I'm just kidding. I think they did play whatever I sang, and I don't think it was that bad. But I got selected. So around 30, 35 girls had auditioned for that spot, and I was one of the 7 who were selected. And during one of the rehearsals for MTV Coke Studio, I was just sitting and we were all chatting up, and rehearsals were going on. You had everyone. You had Shivamani there. You had Mohini Dey on bass there. You had you name it, and they were all there from Sir's team. And randomly, Sir just looked towards us, towards the choir, this humble little group of 7 girls who no one knows. And he's like, "Which one of you is Shashaa?" So I was like, uh-oh. I was like, I sang all the chords wrong. I sang all the notes wrong. I've been singing Sara Besura Ga Rahi Hu Main. I said, he's going to kick me out. I didn't put my hand up. I was like, one of the girls, please say you're Shashaa. It's not me. No one did, clearly. They're all staring at me. So eventually I was like, and that's it. He didn't react. He didn't say anything. Rehearsals continued. 2 days later, I suppose, I couldn't sleep that night, by the way. I was up all night. I think I fainted in the bathroom that night as well. During the shoot, there was this one moment where Sir had to get up and he had to get his hair styled, touched up, and his makeup touched up. So he was crossing by and I was like, "Shashaa, it's now or never. Ask him, ask him, ask him." I got up and I was like, "Sir, if you don't mind, can I ask you a question?" He's like, yeah, say. I was like, "You told me that you asked which one of us was Shashaa." I said, "Did I sing that badly? If I did, I promise I'll practice hard, but please don't kick me out of here." He said, "Actually, no. One of my assistants played me some of your work, and I felt your voice sounded like a musical instrument." He was referring to the duduk, which is an Arabic wind instrument. It's like a flute. So even at this point, I think my head started running, and I was like, that means he's going to replace me with the instrument. But I was like, okay, again, next night, couldn't sleep. And I suppose a month after Coke Studio aired, I got a call from Chennai at 4:30 in the morning. I'm a night bird, by the way. I sleep at like 7 in the morning. I'll wake up at 11. Do not follow that from me, guys. Don't do that. I got a call at some 4:30 in the morning, and I was told that, "Hi, I'm so-and-so calling from A.R. Rahman Sir's office, and Sir would like to try your voice for a couple of songs. Can you come to Chennai?" I was like, of course I can come to Chennai. I'll swim to Chennai if I have to. So that happened, and that is when I went on to record my first song for Rahman Sir, which was from the film Kochadiyan, starring Rajnikant and Deepika Padukone. And the song was called Vada Vada. And till date, I've sung some 40 songs for him, approximately. So that was, thank you. So that's, again, I mean, long story cut short. That was short, by the way. There's so many more details I would love to discuss with you guys on this. But that happened, and now, and after that, I think that kind of kick-started my career. After that, I've sung for, like, they've already introduced most of my film songs to you guys. Hamma, Half Girlfriend Mein, there was Barish. Ye Mausam Ki Barish. I'm sure you've heard that song. Then there was Phir Bhi Tumko Chahunga, which is a duet with Arijit Singh. Shubh Mangal Savdhan was another one, where I sang a beautiful song called Kanha. It had a bit of a classical base to it. So that, and today, if you talk about what I'm up to right now, somewhere along the way, I mean, Bollywood's happening great. I sing in 13 languages. Those are happening great. But I just feel that to be a complete artist, self-expression is really, really important. And that applies to you guys as well. I mean, our fields may be slightly different. Very different, rather. But I think even in your job or in your workplace or in your workspace, what you can do is not something that you would be able to contribute with. And what you can contribute with is not something you would be able to do. So it's to be able to express. And all of that comes from what I had mentioned a little while ago, which is your defeats and your temporary failures, you know. Put it all together and put it into your work. That is why I will not, in any circumstance, want any of my struggles to be removed at any point, even in the future. You know, you want to throw a rock in my path, or you want to throw a mountain in my path, bring it on. You know, I would love to climb that mountain and get to the top and be like, dude, I earned whatever's on top of that mountain. So right now, having said that, and we were talking about movement. Now, if you see, there's been constant movement. If I wasn't singing, if someone told me I had a bad voice, I went on to produce music. When today, when I'm sitting at home and say I'm not recording a song in the studio, it's okay. If someone else is not giving me a song to record today, I'll go and I'll record my own song. Or I'll do a cover. Or I'll do an interpretation of a song that I feel, you know what, I've not had the time to do this because I've been busy gigging, or I've been busy performing, or if I've been busy recording for other people, I'll be like, okay, I finally have the time to do this. So then I'll sit down to do that. And having said that, movement in the right direction, which is the reason why today I've picked up Final Cut Pro, which is a video editing software. So I end up editing my own videos, whatever you'll see on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Shashaa Tirupati. You guys should check out the stuff that I have up there. All the videos that have recently been posted or that have been edited and posted over the past year and a half, I've edited them, I've color graded them, I've done all the promotional work for them. I've made all the artwork for them, from album covers to that. Or when it's, and I sing a bit too, so I'll sing on those songs as well that you'll see up there. A lot of times I've ended up directing a lot of the videos that are up there. So the thing is that, I mean, I can easily give it to someone else to do. But I think I like doing things a particular way. And it's not necessarily the desire to be a perfectionist for perfection, but it's rather to be a perfectionist for self-expression. And every one of you will have your own way of expressing things, and it's fine. When I was in school, I felt very left out when I came to India initially. I had a hard time communicating with girls. I was in an all-girls school. And oftentimes I would feel like I'm a misfit. And I would go home, and in my solitude, I would pick up languages, or I would learn a musical instrument, or I would go and do some sick sports. So I've played soccer, I've played, I'm a provincial swimmer, I've played basketball, I've played tennis, I've played a lot of different sports. And I think had I not been in that position where I felt left out and where I'd be the only one who wasn't invited to a party, or I'd be the only one, I think that ended up being a blessing. And today when my school friends congratulate me, or they send me videos of their daughters, or when they send me videos of their families dancing to my songs, trust me, it feels amazing. So here, it's not always about fitting in. It's not always about 100% getting along. It's not always about going with the flow. A lot of times, when you're pushed into circumstances which in that moment don't feel favorable enough, try and find the gift in that. There's always going to be something to look forward to, or something to create, or something to feel happy about in the most adverse situations. So that's how school was for me. That's how a lot of different things happened for me. And right now, that's how the whole sense of being motile and not stagnant at any time. You don't have a job. Suppose you're going out, you're job hunting, you don't have a job. Work on your skills. Work on finding out the reasons why and honing them. You know? So even those little gaps, they're gifts. There's going to be a time when you won't have time for introspection. There's going to be a time when you won't have time to work on your soft skills. And which is why you're having all those little pockets of time right now. This is when you start job hunting. You're just in your first year right now, so it's all good. And to wrap this up, there's this book I'm currently reading, and it's written by Paulo Coelho. I'm sure you've heard of him. He's written The Alchemist. And it's called Manuscript from the manuscript found in Accra. Sorry, I found that name really, really Accra. And in the book, he says, I'm just going to paraphrase here. He says, the cycle of nature is it's not about victory or defeat. It's about movement. And to add on to that, I say it's about movement in the right direction. That is integral, and defeat is short-lived. Victory is short-lived. I can be victorious today, but I might be sitting home for the next 2 years, at least in my field. You know, if I'm getting work constantly, I'm getting work constantly. It can suddenly stop, and I can't sit and sulk. I need to continue moving. And as I mentioned earlier, continue moving emotionally, continue moving in terms of my skills, continue moving in terms of life in general. You know, you can't, being stagnant doesn't really help. And that's about it. And I think to you guys, that's the one thing I'm going to tell you, that despite the lows, despite minor defeats, despite little hiccups, don't worry about what's going to happen now. Sleep it off. Trust me, that really helps. I know this guy who works at Rahman Sir's studio, and every time he would get a scolding from Sir, he'd go and he'd sleep for 10 hours. He'll come back and he's forgotten half of it. Sir's forgotten half of it, and he goes and he resumes work. So sleep is amazing, you guys. Do that with those hiccups. And other than that, remember, movement. Make sure your head's constantly moving. That really, 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 really helps. I can't stress enough. And you'll be able to relate a little more once you're out of the academic, once you're out in the real world doing a job and, you know, being entrepreneurs and whatnot. So thank you for your time.